time I want to show you a small example how we can use serverless architecture. In this case, we are going to use this website, serverless.com, where you can find information about the serverless framework. I think it's a pretty new solution, and we are going to write microservices and things like that. And we are going to use this framework as a foundation or the base for our deployment to the cloud. So check it out if you haven't seen or visit this website. I truly recommend you to do it. Otherwise, I will try to navigate through the very basic introduction about this framework in these videos. We are also going to use AWS as a cloud provider. Serverless framework, they say that you can use any cloud provider, but in my case, my experience has been with AWS, and that means that you will need to have like an AWS account. You can create one, is completely free. The only requirement is to have like a credit or debit card, I think, but they won't charge you, so don't be afraid. I think by default you have access to 1 year for free from AWS free tier, depending how much you consume. But for the purposes of this project, it's more than enough just with the free tier version of AWS. So check it out, create your account, and we are going to use also Node.js because we are going to create our backend with serverless framework using Node.js. You can create your backend with serverless framework with other languages, other programming languages like Python. But in this case, my experience is mostly with Node.js, so we are going to stay with that. And for the front end, my plan is to use React. It's a really powerful front end framework with for JavaScript. It's maintained and created by Facebook. So, yep, I hope you guys will going to like this series of tutorials. And this is very good in order to have like a more in-depth knowledge about AWS and backend and APIs and things like that. So we're going to create a full stack application in following all these really nice technologies and tools. So check it out. I want to clarify something. Probably you guys are new to the serverless concept. So in these videos, I'm going to use a framework, and the name of the framework is Serverless Framework, actually. And you can find, as I mentioned, in serverless.com. But you can create serverless architecture without using the serverless framework. Actually, serverless is quite new kind of like approach in order to create architecture in the cloud. And if you see this website in awsamazon.com/serverless, you will find like an explanation about what is serverless and how AWS approach to this functionality or architecture. And you can see like all the benefits on all the services that AWS has. And for example, what benefits: node servers management, flexible scaling, pay for value. Basically, you pay for per use. You are not paying just for having like a server, because you are not going to have a server. Basically, you will have containers where you are going to run your functions, and we are going to talk about that in details in the future in next videos. But basically, the thing that you need to know is like um, serverless. You can find it not just in AWS, you can find it in almost all the big cloud providers that they have like their own implementation of serverless. But in this case, we are going to stick with AWS. But as I mentioned, we are going to use this framework. You are free to use whatever other frameworks available out there. And if we go to serverless.com, and then if we go to the documentation, by the way, I have to mention also the creators of this framework, they have like a pro version that you have to pay, and basically they handle all the process about continuous integration, continuous deployment, and things like that. and other benefits. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use like the free version because this is an open source framework. So let's go to overview and then let's move to get started. In my case, I'm going to use Mac OS. You can use Linux, you can use Windows as well. So the first thing first, you need to have Node.js installed. If you install a recent version of Node.js, automatically it will have npm also installed. So I will start my terminal. In this case, I'm using iTerm. I think it's the version 2. Yeah, iTerm 2. And I will type npm install globally, and I will install the serverless library or framework. In my case now, I'm located in my desktop, and we can we can follow the documentation, like type in serverless, and this will create a project, and then we can use the serverless.com dashboard. But in our case, we are going to avoid that part, and I'm going to create a couple of folders. In this case, will be serverless project. And the other thing that we are going to do is I'm going to create a serverless YAML file. And for that, I'm gonna type like this. And then I'm going to use Visual Studio Code in order to continue typing and creating our infrastructure.